Right, grade 12. We are going to start with chapter 5, the business strategies. This is the chapter that we were supposed to teach during the last week when our teaching was so rudely interrupted. Right, so we're always going to look at the key concepts first. Remember, definitions is always very important. You use them in the short questions, in your essay questions. They are very important. Right, when we are devising business strategies, obviously in real life, businesses are faced with many challenges in all three of the business environments. At present, obviously the coronavirus is one of those challenges that businesses are facing. And these challenges may have a very negative impact on businesses' success. Obviously, with now the coronavirus, businesses having to shut down and lock down, obviously that will negatively impact on their profits now and into the future. So very negative impact. So it's very important that we identify the challenges that businesses face. If we know what the challenges are, then we can devise strategies, obviously, to deal with these challenges. We are going to use industrial analysis tools to analyze the challenges, to see where the challenges are, to identify the challenges. And then we obviously have to devise strategies to address these challenges and to respond to these challenges, to decide how we are going to deal with them. When we're implementing strategies, obviously it's very important that we see whether our strategies are working or not. So the evaluation of the strategies is also important. And remember, evaluation is not something that is only done at the end. It is done throughout the process of implementing the strategy. It doesn't help for us to implement a strategy and then wait for 2 years before we evaluate whether it was successful or not. Throughout the running of the business, we need to check all the time. We need to evaluate whether the strategy is actually successful or not. Look at the different business environments. First of all, this is revision. Obviously, you've done this in grade 10 and 11 as well. The business environment includes all the factors that will affect a company's operations. Okay, remember, some of these factors we have control over, some of them we do not have control over. Our 3 business environments will be your micro environment, the market environment, and macro environment. The micro internal environment, this is obviously the environment within the business itself. And for this environment, we have full control over all the factors in this environment because it is inside the market environment is the external environment that influences the business directly, and we have limited control over these factors. These factors will include things like our suppliers, our customers, competitors, regulations imposed to us by the government. Environment is major external and uncontrollable factors that influences an organization and affects its performance, like, for example, the natural environment, should there be a drought or a flood, economic environment, like for now example, us being downgraded to junk status. That'll obviously have an impact on the economy. If the economy goes into a recession, potentially a depression, obviously that will impact on the business as well, very negatively. And there's absolutely nothing that we can do about it. Absolutely no control over this. Right, things like politics, legalities, laws that the government make, we have no control over them. We have to obey them, but we have no control over them. The coronavirus presently, it's also a factor that is present in our macro environment. We cannot have any control over that. We just have to decide how we are going to deal with it. Right, if we just go through the different definitions, to formulate a strategy, or the formulation of a strategy, is when we devise or we develop a strategy. Okay, so we come up basically with a strategy. The implementation of the strategy, obviously we need to formulate a strategy first. So once we have come up with a strategy that we want to implement, implementation means we are going to do all the activities that is required from us to actually put the strategy into action. So we are going to start doing what our strategy says we must do. We are putting our plan into action. Of the strategy, obviously when we implement the strategy, as I said earlier, throughout the implementation of the strategy, we have to evaluate whether the strategy is successful or not. Is it addressing the challenge that we are facing? Is it decreasing the impact of the challenges that we are facing successfully? Evaluation is very important because obviously we need to decide if the strategy is successful, we are going to go ahead with it. If we see that the strategy is not very successful, it is pointless continuing with the implementation, then we have to come up with a new strategy. Then we have to start from scratch again. Right, industry analysis tools. We are going to look, you have done this before, I think last year in grade 11 as well, but we are going to look specifically at the SWOT analysis, Porter's 5 forces, and then the PESTLE analysis. These are models that we can use to analyze the challenges that is posed by our different environments. So in other words, we are going to use these analysis tools to identify the challenges, to see where the challenges are so that we can deal with them. Right, who are our suppliers? That includes obviously the factories and anybody that provides us with goods and services that we would buy from them in order to use in our production process. So our supplier would be anybody that provides a service to us, or where we buy raw materials, for example, that enables us to actually produce the product that we are producing. Okay? Our business must function, can function only if we have reliable suppliers. Obviously, is our clients, the users, the people that buy our product, the person that makes use of our service, our consumers. The consumers, our clients, they will be our buyers. Our competitors will be any other business that is in the same or a similar industry to ours. So they would sell more or less the same or similar goods and services that we would be supplying. Right, for example, for KFC, Nando's will be a competitor. Okay, it's two businesses that sell more or less the same product or provide more or less the same service. They're in substitute goods and services are goods and services that is out there on the market that satisfies the same need of a consumer. Right, so they can replace each other. One product, the consumer is either going to use the one product or the other product. Nando's burger and KFC burger, they are substitutes for each other. You are going to eat either a KFC burger or you're going to eat a Nando's burger. You are not going to eat both. They are substitutes. You use either the one or you use the other one. But it doesn't matter which one you use. Both of them satisfies your needs in a new entrants is businesses that would enter into your market for the very first time. So if I am in the food industry, any business that newly opens up in my industry will be a new entrant. It's a business that hasn't been in the industry before. It is a new business that is entering the industry, selling a substitute product, selling the same or a similar product to me. And once they have entered the market, obviously, they will become a competitor. But a new entrant is when a business for the